In honor of Pride Month, let's take a look at why LGBT people get a whole month to celebrate their identity, seeing it's been a point of contention this year. The Red Scare fostered the concept of McCarthyism, or a witch hunt due to a supposed list of suspect people. This, of course, spiraled into newspeak due to the nationwide fear of communism. However, there was another quote-unquote ideology that had congressional Americans wetting their pantaloons late at night. Homosexuals, who were often referred to as sex perverts. McCarthy had a fake list of communists, but what is often forgotten throughout history is that he also had a list of supposed homosexuals. In the following years, homosexuality and communism would become nearly synonymous to the American public. Federal workplaces often held interrogations for suspect employees, of which the topic of question would be about their political ideology and whether or not they'd ever been interested in the same sex. If any real suspicion arose, they'd be fired, whether or not they were actually gay. All of this was completely legal. In 1947, law enforcement initiated a sex perversion elimination program in order to target homosexuals in the federal government. The following year, Congress passed a bill that required same-sex impulses to be an arrestable offense and classified these offenders as clinically insane. In March of 1952, 162 civil servants were fired for being suspected homosexual. And on April 27, 1953, Dwight D. Eisenhower signed Executive Order 10450, which expanded upon the federal government's ability to fire people on the basis of sexual perversion. For clarification, sexual perversion relates almost solely to homosexuality, and not things like actual perversion, like assault or pedophilia. At least 5,000 people were fired from government positions from 1947 to 1961. Worse than that, people were frequently fired for guilt association, fired on the basis of even knowing somebody who was a homosexual, alleged or not. Suicide rates were staggeringly high, but we'll never know any exact statistics due to a federal government cover-up of these suicides. It took until 1975 for homosexuality to no longer be a grounds for terminating an employee. Executive Order 10450 stayed on the books until 1995. By then, more than 10,000 people had been terminated on the grounds of homosexuality in the federal government. The federal government didn't apologize until January of 2017. In 2019, it's still legal in 27 states to be fired on the basis of sexual orientation. Michigan is one of those states. 14 years after Executive Order 10450 was signed, the Stonewall Riots of 1969 would begin. 12 years after that, HIV would be discovered and diagnosed in America. Almost 530,000 people would die from AIDS in America until 2004. Ronald Reagan would never address this epidemic, past joking with a reporter about it being the gay plague. AIDS was referred to as GRID, or gay-related immunodeficiency disease, until almost 2010.